Welcome to Live with Greg, or Live with Greg, depending on semantics.
Alright, here we are with, episode 72, Live with Greg. Might be the final episode of this season. Here with Jonah, once again.
Yes, sir.
Alright, we're done. Today's Veterans Day. Do you have any thoughts about the need for military in the United States or in any country? Do you think it's plausible or possible for a country to have no military?
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen, but yeah, it could. What about you?
I don't know. Because, I think, let's say there was no military today, starting today. The United States just said, okay, we have no military now.
Just for the U.S. or for like everyone?
Just for the U.S.
Okay.
I think there's a very strong possibility we'd be attacked.
Yeah, me too. If not by another nation, by like terrorists or something.
Yeah. I think about your cousin Cole and how he really felt it a civil responsibility to sign up and join the military. And really did it from a very, what I'd say is a positive place of wanting to serve his country, and was proud of all the things that he felt this country was giving him.
Yeah. I think that's valid. I think it's also valid for the people who don't want to fight because they don't believe that the country's providing what they need. Yeah. It's both valid reasoning.
You ever thought of joining the military?
Yeah. Thought about it. Don't think I ever will. Just doesn't seem like something that would be beneficial to me, and I don't think it would be something that I don't think I would feel right fighting pretty much anyone, to be honest. So I don't know, that's just how I feel about it.
You ever been in a fight?
Nope.
Never close?
I mean, kinda close, but like, not really, because I mean, you can be like close to a fight on accident, but then pretty easily just back out and be like, nah, wait, like that's not actually what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've been close to a fight just for like joking around, and then, you know, I'm just like, nah, we good. And they're like, alright. You know what I mean? It's not.
I don't quite
if you don't want to fight, you just back down. You know what I mean?
Right. But when you say joking around, like wrestling with...
No, like making jokes with my friends, and then some kid's like, you know, thinks I'll talk about him, and then he's like hops out of the car and he's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, nothing, bro, we good. You know what I mean? So that's it.
That happened? Like, yeah. You were joking with friends and someone thought you were saying it to him?
Yeah.
You said, what's up? And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Alright.
Which, I mean, like, yeah, you know. I don't know, it might be interesting to be in, like, a fight, but the only time that I'd see myself really get into a fight with someone is if, like, I don't know, when it comes down to it, I probably just wouldn't do it. Probably just wouldn't fight. But if I did, it would have to be, like, something consensual, you know what I mean? Like, if I were to fight someone, I'd probably want it to be in, like, I don't know, like some martial arts studio or some shit, you know what I mean? Where it's, like, a consensual fight and you're just doing it for fun. So then there's, like, no hard feelings afterward, you know?
Right.
And if you fuck someone up, or if they fuck you up, they're not, you know, you're not gonna have, like, you're not gonna feel bad afterward.
Yeah, good fight.
Yeah,
You got
shit.
that one.
Good shit, yeah.
That one's yours.
Yeah.
Well, that one's mine.
Because I feel like if someone else, you know, wouldn't feel that way after a fight, then it would be like either way I'd feel like shit afterward, you know? If someone beats me up, I'd be like, damn, I just got my ass kicked, that sucks. If I beat someone up, I'd be like, damn, I just kicked that person's ass, that's kind of fucked. I hope he's okay, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
What's the vibe underneath that for you?
What do you mean?
Like, what's your train of thought, your beliefs, your values that support that choice in your life?
Probably a few different things. For one, it's definitely like, fuck, I just had it. I spaced on it.
We should have got high before this.
Well, for one, I like to think that everyone's, like, good at heart. You know what I mean? Like, even people who do. Like, how I think about it is, like, if there is a heaven, what I was... If like, heaven does exist, what I say is heaven, is what I would believe that heaven is, if it exists, is something where every single person, when that you go there, it's just like you... like a perfect soul, kind of, you know what I mean? Or maybe not perfect, but like good, you know? Like, even the people who do like really shit things here, like really fucked up things here, when they die and go to heaven, they're a good person and everyone's like good to each other and everyone's peaceful, you know what I mean? Like, there is no hell or anything like that. Like, that's how I like to think about it. And with that, I don't know, it's very complicated, especially when you get into, like, mental disorders like psychopathy and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Where it's, like, it's a little more ambiguous, but I like to think that everyone does have, and from what I've seen, it seems like most everyone does have a place of goodness in them, and, you know, they just... Some people, it's harder to find, I guess. But, or it's easier to ignore. But, so there's that aspect to it. So then I would, like, you know, feel bad if I kicked someone's ass or something. Then I'd be like, damn, I hope they're okay. Like, shit, you know what I mean? And then, whenever I've hurt people on accident, I always feel bad afterward. Like, not physically, but you know what I mean? If I hurt someone, like, emotionally, I feel bad afterward, so it's like that. But it does seem like it'd be fun to get into a fight at some point in my life.
You ever thought of taking boxing lessons or martial art?
Yeah, but I kind of feel like I'd rather be doing other stuff with my time at this point in my life. So, yeah, like music, school, chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good use of money either. Mostly the time, you know what I mean? But money's always a factor. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. partly for the mental discipline that I'd learned. I think mostly that's what it would be. Like, even if boxing, and there's that animal aspect in the ring of, you know, fighting to win and hurting the other person is, you know, boxing especially, you want to knock them out.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's consensual. And I think there's an element, from what I've heard, of it's really mental practice for oneself to be in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard
I've heard that, especially like being in that space, but controlling yourself.
Right.
Not letting you,
Yeah. Like that, I think, is part of the real challenge. Like, I've heard Mike Tyson say that he didn't like who he was when he was in that competitive place of pure animal destroy.
Yeah.
But then I saw him in an interview like a year after that, when he was starting to do boxing again and get back in the ring. And he's like, well, now I'm back to this. And so I guess part, just from seeing him, there was a difference of choice of like chill, you know, live and let live, and competitive edge. And
sounds like it was maybe hard for him to find the balance.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
Have you given any more thought to the question the other night you and I were talking about, the ability to scientifically prove God's existence and what God is? Scientific knowledge of God.
Kind of. I don't know. I think a lot about, like, not like that specifically, but I think a lot of the time about like what different things mean to me, you know? So like, if there is a God, what would that mean to me? Just kind of like reasoning stuff out, like, for myself. I wrote down something. Have you?
Yeah.
What have you been thinking about?
Well, it's kind of resonated for me, like, yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to scientifically know God.
I don't think I wrote it down.
Was it a poem or a song lyric?
No, I just sometimes, like, if I have like a thought or like a question or something, I'll write it down.
What was it you were thinking you wrote down?
I may have written it down if I just search for it more, but it wasn't really so much about God, but it's about like consciousness and like what really is consciousness. Is there something? Okay, so this is what it was. It was basically after learning about like the split brain stuff that we were talking about, where it's scientific evidence that's pointing towards that there's actually like two different separate consciousness inside our brain, you know what I mean, working together to create one consciousness.
Right.
And that makes me think like, well, for one, okay, how small of a brain could you create? You know, if you keep slicing your brain, would it still be separate consciousness? If that could work, which, you know, obviously you'd probably die. I don't know if you would. You don't die when you slice down the middle, so maybe you wouldn't die if you slice more. Maybe you would. Regardless, if it really is, if you really can sort of have these two different consciousness, these two different like cognitive processes, then that would lead me to believe that consciousness maybe really is just your brain neurons firing and a collection of, you know what I mean, neurons and information just created, you know what I mean? Maybe there isn't something else. Maybe there isn't some other thing that you can't see or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That's what it would lead me to believe.
Yeah, what about, like, I think there's studies about we have living organisms in us, right?
Yeah.
And I believe I've heard that if you look at cravings, like if someone has a sugar craving, and it's not really coming from them, it's coming from the organism in their gut that lives off sugar. So it's sending a signal, more sugar.
I haven't heard about that, but I could definitely see that. That also, that was actually another reason why I was leading me to believe that maybe we aren't something more, or maybe that something more is just a collection of more organisms. Because I know, like, the mitochondria in our cell, one of the, like, you know, most basic components of our living, like our life, that allow us to be alive. Mitochondria aren't actually human. Like, they have their own DNA, right? Like, they're an outside organism, and then of course there's like millions of microorganisms and stuff that we literally, like, we take probiotics and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, we need them to survive. So if they weren't there, we would probably die. So I don't know, it's interesting. It's kind of spiritual in the sense that it's like we're not one thing, we're a collection of organisms, right, working together. But then it's also very scientific in the sense of we're a collection of all these little processes put together to create one system, right?
Right.
Which also, as I've been learning more about philosophy and stuff, I think that philosophy and science, and I mean religion, but not necessarily all religion, but aspects of religion and spirituality, is like, it's all kind of interconnected. It's all people trying to explain things. And sometimes philosophy can get closer to an explanation. Sometimes science can get closer to an explanation. Yeah, I don't know.
Would you say sometimes religion could get closer to an explanation?
Not really for me, because the only religions that I've seen get very close to an explanation are more the religious philosophy and not really the religious explanation itself, but the philosophy behind the religion. So I wouldn't, yeah, that's how I see it. What about you?
It might be semantics. I think I agree with you. You know, I was just thinking of a poem that was just shared by someone whose mom passed away a week or so ago, and it's a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he's in essence saying, I'm not a body, I'm infinite, and celebrate with me. And kind of like what you said earlier about heaven, you know, he's kind of saying we're all going to see each other again in a joyful place, so celebrate. Don't worry about my passing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about your own passing. Don't be afraid of it. That was kind of his vibe. Don't be afraid of death.
Yeah,
because it's all good.
And that's what I like about, like, the Buddhist philosophy, is because, like Thich Nhat Hanh is saying there, we're all gonna go to heaven. Okay, that I don't believe. I mean, that, like, is something that I don't know, right? But if it comes down to it, I'm gonna lean towards it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? But the facts of him saying, like, we're all gonna die, so let's just enjoy it right now, that is a philosophy that I can get behind. You see what I mean? That's something that I can be like, okay, yeah, right? Like,
Right.
we're all gonna die. Whatever happens afterward, whatever. Let's just enjoy it right now. That's definitely something that I can agree with.
Yeah, it seems everything points to now. Philosophy, what I know of religion, it all seems to come to, because the fear is from an imagining of what could happen,
Mm-hmm.
or a memory of something that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
The more one's conscious in just the given moment, the more peace and joy there is to be known.
Mm-hmm. And that's definitely an interesting one to think about, especially with our society, because there's a lot of things that you need to have to live a healthy life, and there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't have to live a healthy life, like home, some money to buy food, stuff like that, unless you want to go and build your own home and make a garden and just live off that or something. But if you don't want to do that and you want to live in these other areas that you're used to living in, or that are close to your family, or you like it or whatever, you need money and stuff, and you can definitely live in the moment but still be working towards your future, which is kind of an interesting thing that comes up, I feel like, in philosophy, because it's all in Buddhist philosophy, because it's always like live in the moment, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But then it's also, yeah, live in the moment, but don't just forget about everything else. Live in the moment, but work, like do what you need to do in the moment. You know what I mean? And like, don't just sit there and be like, oh, I'm living in the moment. Oh, the last moment? Nah, that doesn't matter. I'm just sitting here right now. You know what I mean? Then you're just gonna sit there fucking forever. So do stuff, but be present with what you're doing. I don't know, it kind of logically it makes sense, but it also kind of makes you think like, well, how do I know what I should be doing? By thinking about what will come from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense you kind of have to think about the future. I don't know, it seems a little contradictory. Makes sense logically, but like,
Maybe bringing in the attachment piece. Like, think about the future, act accordingly. And
yeah, definitely. But don't get attached to. Yeah, definitely. Don't get attached to.
you excited about the holidays?
Excited for my friends to come back.